Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So I recently went to IMATS and bought lots of new makeup goodies, and I wanted to do a tutorial using some of the products that I bought and kind of giving you my first impressions and whether I think they're worth buying or not. So that's what I've done in this very chocolatey inspired makeup tutorial. So if you do want to know how I created this look and what products I used, then just keep watching. So the first stand that I went to at IMATS was the Makeup Forever stand because I knew I wanted to pick up one of their Ultra HD Invisible Cover Foundation Sticks, which is what I'm using now. But because I went to IMATS on the Sunday, there wasn't a lot left. So I just picked up a shade that was closest to my skin tone. There was like 3 or 4 shades left by the time I got there. So it actually worked out pretty well. I thought it might be a bit too dark, but it's okay because I fake tan. I can just up the amp on the fake tan that day to match my foundation. But yeah, I really love this foundation. You guys know, if you have watched my tutorials, that MAC Studio Fix Fluid is my ride or die foundation, and I haven't changed it for about a year. But this may be my new favorite foundation. I never thought I'd like it because it's in a cream stick kind of formula, and I thought it might be too greasy or too oily for my skin, but it's amazing. It gives the most flawless coverage, but it still looks like skin. I know you hear that a lot, like foundation that looks like skin, but this actually looks like skin and it blends out so easily. I decided to use a beauty blender to blend mine, which I never usually do, but I saw Nikki Tutorials loves this foundation, so, and she blends it with a beauty blender, so I thought I'd try that, and it actually worked really well. I don't like blending my Studio Fix with a beauty blender because I feel like it picks up some of the product and I don't want that product wasted. I want to use it. So but this foundation works really well with a beauty blender. Then I'm going to go in with my concealer, which is the MAC Prolongwear concealer in the shade NC20. I wanted to pick up the Naked concealer by Urban Decay, but again, sold out because I went on the Sunday. So I'm just sticking with my trusty Prolongwear concealer by MAC. And as usual, I'm just blending that out with my beauty blender. I'm going to first place that in a triangle shape underneath my eye to highlight and to conceal, and then take my beauty blender, which is damp, and just blend it all out. Oh, and I forgot to mention one more thing about this foundation. It does give a very dewy finish. So if you are oily, you're definitely going to want to set this with a powder. I could not wear this foundation without a powder. I have to set it. But once I set it, it does last all day. So I like to work in sections when doing my concealer because I find the Prolongwear concealer can dry out quite quick. So I like to place it under one eye and then blend it out, and then place it under the other eye and then blend it out, as opposed to placing all the lines all over my face and then blending it out. I struggle with that because I feel like the concealer's already started to dry, so it's a lot harder to blend. So as usual, I'm just placing that concealer on my chin, the centre of my forehead, and down the bridge of my nose. And then I'm going to set that concealer in place with my Nye Banana Powder. And I'm going to leave the powder underneath my eyes to bake for a while. That will make that area nice and bright and also catch any fallout from the eyeshadow. And then we'll just dust straight off rather than leaving a dark smudgy mark underneath my eye. When I watch tutorials, a lot of girls like to do their eyes first. For me, I can't do that. I just feel like I'm working backwards. It just feels so wrong. So I have to do my base first. To set all that foundation in place, because like I said, I do need to set this foundation, I'm going to use my RCMA No Colour Powder, which is another product that I bought from IMATS because Jaclyn Hill had raved about it and Wayne Goss had raved about it, so I wanted to give it a try. I will say I did try using this to set my under eye area, but even though it says no colour powder, it definitely left a white cast underneath my eyes. I think it may be because my foundation is quite a tan sort of colour. It just left me looking a bit ashy underneath my eyes, but it is amazing to set the face. And then to warm up my face, I'm taking my Faced Bonjour Soleil palette, and I'm using the Chocolate Soleil matte bronzer inside the palette to warm up my face. This palette has got some really pretty shimmery bronzers in it, which I can't wait to use in the summertime for that really luminous, glowy J-Lo look. But the Chocolate Soleil bronzer is a really nice mid-tone bronzer. It's not too cool and it's not too warm, so you can use it to give you a nice tan look, and you can use it to contour if you like. Plus it also smells like chocolate, always a bonus. For a bit more definition, I'm going to take the shade Sculpt from MAC and I'm going to use this to contour the hollows of my cheekbones just to make me look a bit more slim, bring out those cheekbones. And to do that, I'm just using my MAC 135 brush. And then for highlight, I'm going to be taking the Kiko Long Lasting Wet and Dry Use eyeshadow. As it says on the label, you can use this wet or dry. I'm using it dry today because I don't want it too intense. When you do wet your brush, this is a very intense metallic highlighter. It's very pretty, but because I'm putting glitter on my eye today, I thought I'd keep it toned down a bit with the highlighter. And then for blush, I'm taking MAC Copperton on my Real Techniques blush brush, and I'm just placing that on the apples of my cheeks and blending it back towards my temple. Now moving on to eyes. To prime my eyelids, I'm going to be taking the Urban Decay Primer Potion, and I'm just blending that out with my ring finger. And then I'm just going to set that in place with some of the RCMA No Colour Powder. Moving on to eyeshadow, I'm going to be taking the new Cocoa Blend eyeshadow palette from Zoeva, and I'm first going in with the shade Substitute for Love on a Sigma E40 tapered blending brush. This is one of my go-to brushes when I want a really big blown out eye look, because it's domed at the end and it's really big and fluffy, and it's also quite dense, so you get that really nice gradient effect. So I'm just placing that back and forth in the crease, and I'm doing quite big circular motions, a bit bigger than I would usually do because I want it to be really nice and blown out. To deepen up the crease and give it that nice rich warm chocolatey tone, I'm going to be taking the shade Freshly Toasted on my Zoeva Luxe Soft Crease brush, and I'm just placing that directly in the crease and using smaller circular motions to blend that out. I own quite a few Zoeva brushes, but not any Zoeva makeup products, so I didn't know what to expect of the Zoeva palette, but I have to say it was so good, and I've used it like twice or 3 times now since I bought it. It's probably one of my favorite palettes now. I'm so glad that I bought it, and it was really affordable. I don't know how much it retails for, but really affordable. And the Zoeva brush, the Luxe Soft Crease brush that I'm using, is so good. You know that I've been using the MAC 221 brush for however long I've been using it and been raving about it and love it. This brush has now replaced that brush. This is so much better. I don't even know what it is about it that makes it so good. It's slightly bigger than the MAC 221 and it's got more of a domed shape rather than a pointy tip, but amazing. And it's rose gold. Come on. So I'm just picking my E40 brush back up to soften everything out, and then I'm going to mix those 2 shades together and run them along my lower lash line to smoke it out. If you don't want this look as blown out, I would suggest you go in with a smaller brush, because this one is probably a bit too big for the under eye, but because I want it to be really blown out, that works in my favour for this look. And then to deepen up my crease and my outer corner, I'm going to be taking the shade Beans Are White. Really weird name, but okay. And I'm just placing that on the outer corner and into my crease just to add a bit more depth and a bit more drama. And then I'm going to be taking that same shade on a flat definer brush from Crown Brushes, and I'm just running that along my lower lash line. And then to really amp up that chocolatey vibe, I'm going to be using my Costa Riche eyeliner from MAC, which is just a warm, rich chocolate brown. And I'm placing that in my waterline and then blending it out onto my lower lashes with a Zoeva Luxe Petite Crease brush. Then to add a bit of colour to the lid, I'm going to be taking the shade Subtle Blend and just placing that all over the lid with my Zoeva Luxe Smoky Shader brush. Now you can totally stop here and just add a bit of mascara and you're done, but if you know me, you already know I'm going to be adding glitter. And I'm taking the LA Splash Crystalised Glitter in the shade Whisky Sour, and to stick that to my eyelid, I'm going to be using my Ben Nye glitter glue, and I'm just brushing that all over the area of our eyelid where we just placed that previous shade from the palette. You do only need a very small amount of this glitter glue, and you want to make sure that you keep it below the crease. I picked up a couple of glitters at the LA Splash stall at IMATS because they look really cute on the table. So I got 2 of them, and I have to say I'm really impressed. They were really fine and they had hardly any fallout. Plus the packaging they come in is super cute. It's a little ball with like a rose gold lid, and I think the colour changes depending on whatever colour the glitter is inside. So I really love this colour. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm so glad that I got it because I haven't got any other rich warm brown glitters, so this is one of my faves. So as you can see, I'm just taking a flat synthetic brush and I'm just packing that glitter all onto the area where we placed the glue. And you can also see that I'm not having any fall down here, which is really, really rare for glitter. So thumbs up LA Splash. To make sure that that glitter looks like it's blended into the rest of the eye look, I'm going to be taking the shade Freshly Toasted again on a Crown Badger Blending Crease brush, and I'm just working that into the crease to deepen it up so that the glitter looks like it fades a bit more into the crease as opposed to seeing the definition between the crease and the glitter. And then before applying false lashes, I'm just going to go in with a few coats of mascara. This is the Maybelline Colossal Cat Eye Mascara. I've used this in another tutorial because I really like the wand. So nothing new to see here. I'm just coating my top and bottom lashes. And now that I've finished with the eyeshadow, I'm going to be dusting off that Nye Banana Powder that's just sitting there underneath the eyes. And then I'm going to be applying some false lashes off camera. And the lashes I'm using are the Eldora B131 lashes. They're just short and fluffy and they kind of flick up a little bit, but not too much. So it doesn't hide any of that pretty glitter that we've got there. Then to line my lips, I'm going to be taking the shade Cork from MAC, which is a very chocolatey brown. And I'm going to be lining my lips and filling them in completely with this lip pencil. And finally, to make sure that lasts all day, I'm going to go over the top of it with this LA Splash Lip Tint Mousse in the shade Nymphea. And that is the finished look. I hope you guys liked this tutorial and you didn't fall asleep from all the talking, but I actually really love this makeup look and I didn't want to wash it off because rich warm browns are my thing, but all good things come to an end, I suppose. Anyway, if you did like it, let me know, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, guys.